You're earning good money, you're working hard, and you do all the things you're supposed to do. But every time you look at your savings account, there's this nagging voice in the back of your head asking, is this actually enough? We've all been there, right? You Google and you search, how much should I have in savings? But the generic answers usually leave you feeling way more anxious. They don't know your life, they don't know your bills, and they don't know your goals. So today we're gonna stop the guessing game. I want to help you build a cushion that actually makes you feel safe. Not because the calculator told you a number, but because you finally have a plan that gives you options. In this video, I'm gonna show you the true job of your savings, the simple 2-part rule for finding your specific peace of mind number, and the system to reach that goal so you can stop scrambling when life gets expensive. Because here's the thing, savings isn't meant just to be a big old pile of cash. It's meant to be a tool that supports your life. Let me give you a real life example. So my husband and I live in a condo, and we knew when we bought this place that there was gonna be an elevator repair coming down, but we didn't know when. And year after year was passing by, it was not happening. Then all of a sudden, we had 30 days to decide how we're gonna pay for this bill. For this massive overhaul, our share of the bill was $9,655. Now, we had two options. Option one, we could pay the full $9,655 up front, or we can get on the payment plan. At first glance, it might feel like a payment plan's easier, right? Because shelling out 10 racks is not for the faint of heart. So a payment plan would be a smaller monthly hit, but once you did the math with the interest, the payment plan would have cost us over $13,200 in total. So because we already had savings in place, we chose the first option. We paid it, we were done, never thought about it again. But if we didn't have the money ready, we would been forced to pay what's essentially a $3,545 penalty just for having the privilege of not having the cash. That's the power of savings. It's not about the tiny bit of interest you're gonna get from the bank. It's about the thousands of dollars you get to keep when a crisis hits, when a big expense hits. It's about having the power to choose the best option rather than the only option. So now, before we get into actual math, we need to address a common mistake. A lot of people look at their savings and they want to treat it as an investment. You want to see your savings growing, doing something. But it leads some people to decide to invest their savings rather than putting it in a savings account. And that's not necessarily wrong, but here's a shift I'd rather you make. Your savings account is not to help you attain riches. That's what your brokerage account, your investment accounts, your 401k, all that stuff, that's what that's for. That's to build wealth. The job of your savings is to create a cushion. It's to be stable, to create security, to be nice and boring, so that when life gets interesting, your lifestyle doesn't have to change dramatically. So how much do you actually need to feel that safety? You'll need two categories of accounts. First is your emergency fund. For professional women earning a good income, it's recommended to have about 3 to 6 months of essential expenses tucked away. Notice I said essential expenses. This is not your full take-home pay. This is like the keep the lights on kind of number, where you're making sure that your housing's covered, groceries, gas, utilities, that kind of thing. And now if you're wondering if you're a 3-month kind of gal or a 6-month kind of gal, ask yourself how stable your situation is. If you're a specialized professional where it might take longer to find a job, or you're the primary breadwinner, lean towards 6 months. If your job is very secure and your overall expenses are low, 3 months could be your sweet spot. But what most people forget, aside from the emergency fund, is to have sinking fund. You can call this your future self fund. This is for the things that kind of come out of nowhere, and when they do come up, they feel like emergencies, but they're actually just part of life. And I'm talking about things like the annual car registration that always seems to sneak up on you, the $800 that you know you're gonna spend on gifts this holiday season, or the fact that you know eventually your car is gonna need new tires. When you don't prepare for these things, you go digging into your emergency fund, which creates a cycle of financial anxiety, making you feel like you're taking 1 step forward, 2 steps back. But when you have a specific number for these predictable costs, you stop reacting to life and you start leading it. So now that you have your number, you have a combination of the emergency fund and your future self fund, your sinking funds. How do you actually make it happen without it feeling like a second job? The secret isn't willpower, it is automation. If you have to manually move money into savings every month, you're giving yourself a chance to talk yourself out of it. You see a pair of shoes, a flight deal, or you just have an expensive week at the grocery store. And then all of a sudden you're like, you know what? I'll save double next month. But we know how that usually goes, right? A better way is to automate. This means that you're going to set an automatic transfer either the day you get paid or the day right after your paycheck hits. You want that money gone before you even get used to that sitting in your checking account. So these funds, your emergency fund, your sinking fund for these planned expenses, you should give them names. That way you know this money has a specific job, a specific purpose, and you're less likely to borrow from it for something else entirely. I want you to remember that building this cushion doesn't have to happen overnight. If your total goal feels huge, just focus on the first $1,000. Then focus on the first month of expenses. Every dollar you add is a little bit more breathing room and more options that you didn't have yesterday. Once you have this plan in place, that nagging voice, the one asking you if you have enough, it finally starts to quiet down. You stop reacting to life and you start leading it. But once you start stacking this cash, there's one more thing you need to know. Because if you're just leaving that money in a standard bank account with a traditional bank, you're actually losing money to inflation drastically every single day. You've done the hard work of putting the savings aside. Now we need to make sure that that money is actually working for you. To see exactly where you should be keeping this cash to maximize your interest without losing that liquidity that we talked about, click right here to watch this video on how to earn more interest on your savings. I'll see you over there.